Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Jello Jiggling podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Ward, and things have gotten increasingly interesting when it comes to the Los Angeles Lakers in terms of this final stretch of the regular season, with the team holding on to hope to secure a better spot, I guess, in the play-in game at this point, in the playoff picture in the West, with they going bouncing back from the 9th spot and the 10th spot with Golden State. I'd say the most telling thing that happened was against Golden State, where they got beat in the final 5 minutes of the game, with all the craziness going on with the shot clock and all the crazy reviews that took forever. I think somebody said something like it took 20 minutes to end the final 2 minutes, which is just ridiculous. And talk about a momentum killer for athletes that are just on the fine, like on fumes at the end of the game. But the one thing I did notice about that game that not a lot of people were talking about is just how sloppy it was for both teams. It was like both teams were running in mud or something. They were slow, they were lethargic, they didn't really play any defense. It kind of like it was like a light bulb moment. I was like, you know what? Neither one of these teams is going to do anything in the postseason. I mean, I hate that. I know that sounds super negative, but it just felt so obvious. Like neither one of these teams can play defense right now, even though they got Draymond on Golden State and they got AD in LA. It's just that's it. Nobody else is playing D. There's people just getting flown by, picks being said. No energy to get around a pick, to even contest shots. It just felt kind of pathetic on both sides. And Golden State just happened to come out on top. But I mean, looking at the playoff picture right now, get the standings up. Sacramento has actually moved into the 6th spot, which I didn't think was going to happen. And Phoenix has dropped down into the playing game at number 8. With Los Angeles only what is that, game and a half? Yeah, two and a half games back, I think. Yeah. So we got Dallas at 7, Phoenix at 8, Los Angeles at 9, and Golden State at 10. I feel like Golden State and Los Angeles are just going to bounce back and forth. And maybe the same goes for Dallas, Sacramento, and Phoenix for that 6th spot. I mean, it's still not out of the realm of possibility the Lakers somehow go on a run here. I mean, there's 13 regular season games left, right? The schedule is not as brutal as it was, but there are still some bumps in the road. They got Philly on Friday, still no Embiid, I believe. Then Indy, and then at Milwaukee, which will be tough. At Memphis, which should be easier than some of these other games. At Indy, which could be another tough one. At Brooklyn. I mean, there's that stretch where they're on the road. There's 6 games on the road, which is the last big road trip, right? So you got at Milwaukee, at Memphis, at Indy, at Brooklyn, at Toronto, at Washington, and then that's pretty much it until the very end, where it's at Memphis, at New Orleans to finish it out. But there are some tough matchups here. There's, like I said, you got the Pacers twice, you got the Bucks, you got Philly, which is still, they're not as good as they were with Embiid, but they're still formidable, I would say. I wouldn't take them for granted. And then you got the Cavs, Minnesota, you got the Golden State again, which that game might actually determine the final seeding. And then you finish it off with the Pelicans, who knows who they're going to be playing that night, because I think they're pretty set where they are in the standings. Where are they at? Number 5. Yeah, they could drop, but because they're 2 games ahead of Sac. But it's all fluctuating. A lot can happen in the final 13 games. But last night was was, a kind of a breath of fresh air. It's the first blowout I've can remember seeing in quite some time. I honestly don't remember the last one. But they just kicked the crap out of you remember the Hawks. I was like, I can't even remember who the hell they played. The Hawks. So they won by 31 points. But the Hawks didn't have Trae Young, and the Hawks are the Hawks, right? They're a team that desperately needs to just blow it up because they just can't get it going with no matter who's playing for them. You'd figured with DeJounte Murray, Trey, and some of the other guys on the team, Jalen Johnson, who had the dunk of the year. I guess the dunk of the year could be determined yesterday with Ant Edwards destroying former Hawks center Collins, and then Jalen Johnson just posterizing Austin Reeves, which reminded me instantly of Vince Carter in the Olympics, or Team USA. I don't remember if it was the Olympics or not, but where he jumped over that 7-foot guy. Johnson pretty much cleared him, and it was pretty embarrassing. In the end, the Lakers got the win, so it doesn't matter. But I think Reeves got a good chuckle out of it after the game when he was asked, I think it was by Dan Wokey of LA Times, about getting posterized. And he's good sport about it. But it's pretty ridiculous dunk. Pretty ridiculous. Anyway, where was I going here? But it was promising. I mean, you beat a team by 31 points and everybody's clicking. You get rest for LeBron and AD with a 3-game stretch here of off days, which I can't remember the last time that happened, which is nice for us as media, but also nice for the team where they can get a little practice time in. Possibly, I bet they'll practice like one day out of the 3 because practice just kind of seems extinct at this point in the NBA. Because everybody's so worried about injuries and BS, even though I think that's an important part of the game. It's just kind of one of those things that just in the modern game is kind of disappearing. But should be a good stretch, and then they'll get a tough test on against Philly in LA on Friday. But what can't go without D'Lo tying the franchise record for threes in a season, which I thought was kind of incredible. He passed Kobe during the game and then tied one of my all-time favorite Lakers, Nick Van Exel. Before Kobe came along, he was my favorite Laker, besides Magic Johnson, but Johnson was a little before my time. But I love Nick the Quick. That guy was incredible. And to think when Nick did it was an era where threes were kind of frowned upon, and not frowned upon, but like just not a vital piece of the game. It wasn't implemented like it is today. And it's kind of crazy to think that it's only just now that a player has, matched Kobe and then got to Nick. I'm surprised Kobe didn't get there, which is kind of nuts. I can't remember what the difference was between. I think it was only like a couple threes separated Kobe and Nick Van Exel, but D'Lo tied it. I mean, how many did he have last night? I don't think he hit a ton. Well, actually, he did 6. He hit 6 out of 10. That's pretty damn good for 27 points, 10 assists, 4 boards. I mean, the kid's he had a couple, bad games over the course of the last few, but he always seems to bounce back. He does seem to have that confidence level where, he doesn't go on these long stretches where he has cold streaks. He does tend to bounce back pretty quickly, which is great for this team and great for his future in LA or wherever else might be willing to pay him, truckload of money. But and then you had LeBron with 25, 10 assists, 7 boards, typical LeBron line. AD bounced back after the eye incident against Golden State, which was, I thought was kind of strange. I mean, I watched that replay 100 times where he got hit in the face by what was it, Trace Jackson Davis, who I don't even know who the hell that is. But when he got hit, it seems so subtle and so kind of like just like a little bit of contact, but it must have got him right. Because I think last night he said the injury was like right in the middle of his eye. Um, and that was another thing I thought was weird because he said that there's something else that he's not telling the media and that he won't, that they found and while they were, checking out his eye, which that don't sound good. I mean, he didn't sound, you know, down about it, but I'm just like, well, what the hell could that have been? You know, that's a little strange. Why would he even mention it? Um, but hopefully this is not a thing, not a recurring thing. And it was cool to see him bounce back. He only missed 4 shots out of the 14 he took, 15 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 22 points. Typical AD line. This is one of those games where everything just kind of clicked. I'd say the only one that really struggled, or at least
passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. See ebaymotors.com.
Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify is there to help you grow. Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. What I love about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control and take your business to the next level. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
At his forgettable moments, was Austin Reeves. And he only missed 5 shots. And all, 3 of them were from distance. So he had 12 points, 6 boards, and 4 assists. But, the bench didn't really do much of anything. Prince had 8 points. Christie had 11. That's it for those guys. Rui had 17. He's been consistent. He keeps playing well. But he was in the starting lineup, obviously. But this is trending up. But these are the games where these outcomes should be expected, right? Not 31 points or anything, but you should beat the crap out of a team like Atlanta. You should. They're 8 games below 500 now. They're just not a good basketball team. They shouldn't be in contention whatsoever during this entire game. And they weren't. They really weren't. Lakers got off to a fast start, scoring 38 points in the first quarter, and kind of cruised from then. They slowed down in the fourth, but they emptied the bench. So, that's to be expected. But then again, so did Atlanta. Lakers scored 25 in the fourth. Atlanta scored 19. So, great sign moving forward. Hopefully, in these 3 days, they can get a little bit healthier, get ready to really make a strong push at the end here, and improve their standing, improve their position. I at this point, I think we've all come resigned to the fact that they're going to be 9 or 10, right? 8 if they're lucky. Does it really matter if they're 8 because they're still in the play-in tournament? They're still technically not in the playoffs. But I think at this point, I say if that's the case, you just need to be playing good basketball. You need to get all your guys doing what they did last night. You can get that consistently against, in the next 13 games. Awesome. Secure that spot, beat the crap out of whoever they play in the play-in tournament, and then move on to whoever they play in the first round. And if they're playing at a high level, they might have a chance. They can take advantage of young teams like Oklahoma City and Minnesota. I mean, if they get Denver, they're screwed, I think, personally. But ironically, they have a better chance against Minnesota and Oklahoma City. They're young, inexperienced. They could fall apart easy, kind of like Memphis did in the playoffs last year. And then maybe the Lakers have a chance, to at least make a run to the second round, to where it's just not super depressing that they get bounced in the first round or get bounced into the playing game or whatever. But I will say one concerning thing I saw today, which is kind of to be expected, but at the same time, just disappointing, is somebody who doesn't normally report on Lakers news said that he heard that Vando, Vincent, and Christian Wood are done for the year. Yeah, Bill Ryder, where are you, Ryder? CBS Sports. Actually, I think I know this dude. But he said that Los Angeles Lakers players Christian Wood, Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent will miss the rest of the season. While Vanderbilt could still return, sources say the expectation is that will not happen. It got reported. I mean, Woj had one of those classic moves last night where the game starts and he reports some pretty big news right away. And he said Christian Wood's done for several weeks. He has an arthroscopic surgery arthroscopic, screw it, whatever. A procedure on his knee, on his left knee, that's going to keep him out several weeks, which basically says, he's done for the regular season, and it's doubtful he gets back in the playoffs. So that could be the end of Wood's stint with the Lakers, which was underwhelming, I guess. If he didn't get hurt, maybe it's one of those things that he has a future here, but I don't know about that now. But that's disappointing, especially if Vando is done. I mean, they've been playing with Vincent all year, so whatever. Would gave you some size and some shooting. That's disappointing that he's done. But Vando is the big one. If they don't have Vando for the playoffs, I don't know how they're gonna hang with the best teams in the West. That's just a big blow defensively. I mean, they already suck right now defensively. And if they're not getting their second best defender and their best on-ball defender, I don't know, man. That's tough to overcome. Unless somebody all of a sudden, like Rui, all of a sudden becomes a great defender, or Austin. But that's not happening. Come on. So it's just been more, bad news, kind of on top, one on top of the other. Every day it's something new. But there's still light at the end of the tunnel. It's depressing. It's a dim light. It's a light that feels like it's going to go out at any minute, like a flickering flame. But you just got to stay positive from here on out, because as long as you get into that play-in game, it's a new season, right? Everything that happened in the regular season doesn't matter anymore. It's one game, move on, and just try and get the best first-round matchup you possibly can get, which some people are saying Minnesota, some people are saying OKC. Either way, I mean, I just had a flashback of Anthony Edwards dunk last night on Collins. The guy dislocated his finger while he did it too, and acting like it didn't really matter after he landed. He said he would have celebrated more if he didn't dislocate his finger. I guess he said this in the post-game show or Minnesota's post-game show. But man, that was ridiculous. That had MJ vibes, definitely. That guy's what a treat, man. He's 22 years old. We're gonna get to see him for a long time, but hopefully the Lakers don't see him do a lot of that if they meet in the first round. Anyways, let's just stay positive for the rest of the week until we hit Philly. Hopefully Embiid doesn't miraculously make a return on Friday, which I don't think is going to happen, but you never know these days. And go from there. Got him in the last words because I got a couple more minutes. Trying to think of what else is going on right now. Oh, the LePodcaster. LeBron James seemed reluctant to do this for a while, but he announced yesterday, or at least there was an announcement, that he is joining forces with JJ Redick of ESPN to do a podcast together on the love of the game of basketball, which I thought was kind of funny because my first thought was when Kobe did the detail thing. I can't remember who. I think he might have done it for ESPN with detail or ESPN Plus or something. And I remember being psyched about that and being like, "Oh man, I can't wait to watch that. That'll be interesting to see Kobe break down everything." And I remember watching it and being like, "Damn, I am bored." For 5 minutes, I was just like, "I can't keep up." Kobe is just like it just thinks on a different level when it comes to basketball, and the way he was describing everything was like so complicated. And I'm like, all right, my interest in this is just gone, and I don't think that show lasted more than a season or a few episodes or something, but that was my first thought because I saw a clip of this new podcast of him and LeBron and Redick, and it looked, it was kind of interesting the way, because LeBron was talking about these two plays that he has always wanted to run or something like that. And the way he described it was interesting. I was like, well, that's kind of cool. And then I'm looking at the tagline and I'm looking at like what they're going for here. And they're kind of going for a different, feel with the podcast. And I'm like, you know what? People are just going to get bored, man. You can't do that every week. Like and especially nowadays with all the gossip and the rumors and all the crap flying back and forth, the trash talking and that's what people go after, unfortunately. I just don't see, that love of the game stuff lasting for more than maybe a month. And then something's going to happen, right? It's going to be about his kid. It's going to be about Bronny. It's going to be about his future in LA. He's going to bring on a guest that's going to bring up a question. It's just going to evolve into everything else, and the next thing is just another run the mill podcast. But I'm saying this on a podcast, for Christ's sake. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, but hopefully, his focus is on the basketball floor, not making this podcast the best thing ever. Do that in the off season, dude. But I guess everybody's doing it now. Paul George and a ton of other guys. Pat Beverly was got to be the most annoying player in the league. But I thought that was interesting. I want to see where that goes. But I do think it's going to go off the rails pretty quick, especially if the ratings are not what they want. But anyway, that's it for this podcast. I think we're coming on Thursday, and I'll have my first guest ever. But I'll announce that then when get all the details wrapped up. But until then, peace.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.
You know when you're listening to a true crime story that has an unbelievable plot twist that makes you stop in your tracks? That's what our podcast, People Are the Worst, brings you with each episode. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Rebecca. We're identical twins who love true crime cases that make you say, didn't see that coming, and we hate the people responsible for them. Listen to People Are the Worst now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.